Hi Year 6, this is our book week book that I introduced to you on the video that went out on Friday. It's Monday the 1st of March and this is your English lesson. So if you've picked up your pack, which hopefully most of you have, you've got this book in your pack at home. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look at chapter 1. I don't want to say too much about it because I said a little bit on Friday and I want to have the time to read it to you. So I'm going to go through, there's quite a lot of these Polaroid pictures which tell you lots. And the nice thing about this book is it's set in the summer term of Year 6. So hopefully next term, that'll be you guys. I hadn't seen this photograph since the day it was taken until now. Even so, I can tell you anything that you want to know about it. The boy on the left is Shocky. The one on the right is Duncan, who used to come to school with biscuits in his pocket. He's married now, inexplicably. The girl on the left is Mimi Tulum, and the one on the right is me. At the moment this picture was taken, I was mostly wondering whether Mimi would ask me back to hers after school. Mimi's mother let her play with her makeup, whilst my mother definitely did not, even though I was mature and sophisticated. I was also thinking, oh my days, Shocky has put his hand on my shoulder. Once, just before Christmas, I had managed to manipulate Shocky into being my partner in a classroom activity. This should have resulted in a moment of physical contact because it was a trust game, only it turned out that Shocky was not to be trusted. And by the time this photograph was taken, Shocky had completed an unbroken run of 237 days of failing to notice my existence. How do I remember my thoughts so clearly? Because those were the only thoughts that I had in the first 2 terms of Year 6. 1, Mimi, can I come back to yours? 2, Shocky, please notice me. Also, this photograph was taken in the summer term of Year 6. Doesn't everyone remember everything about their last summer term in primary school? I do. The sports day, the leavers trip, the leavers photograph, the endless discussion of which school you're going to next, the promise to stay friends even though you're all going to different schools, everyone signing their names on everyone else's shirts in the last afternoon, and all the time you had that feeling day by day, inch by inch, that a door was opening and sunshine was pouring in, and any day now you'd be allowed through that door, laughing and yelling so loud that you wouldn't even hear when it closed behind you forever. I can tell you when it was taken. It was the 2nd week of the summer term. During morning break, Mimi spotted 2 kids, one big and one little. The big one was holding the little one's hand, staring through the railings of the playground. The little one was wearing a furry hat and they had identical coats, mad coats, like long dressing gowns with fur inside. But any coat would have looked mad. The sun was beating down. The tarmac in the car park was melting. Everyone else was wearing t-shirts. Mimi went over and said, "What are you 2 looking at?" The big one put his finger to his lips and shushed her. "Shh, pay attention to your teacher." He pointed at Mrs. Spendlove, and the very minute that he did, she blew the whistle for the end of break. It was like he knew she was going to do it. When we were all lined up, somehow these 2 were standing right behind me. I was looking at the littlest one who had his hat pulled down right over his eyes. It looked so uncomfortable, I wanted to fix it for him. But the big one put his hand under his chin and turned my head. No, put his hand under my chin and turned my head away. "Don't look at him," he said. He was asking for a slap, quite honestly. But before I could do anything about that, Mrs. Spendlove was walking us into class. The 2 boys went straight to the back. The little one made himself at home in what was supposedly my seat. I stood there staring right at him, thinking that he'd take the hint, but no. Mrs. Spendlove said, "Everyone, I'd like you all to say a big hello to a new face in our class. A happy new face, I hope. This is Chingus." Everyone said hello except me, and I said, "What about the other one, miss? What's he called?" She hadn't noticed the little one until then. "Oh, Chingus," she said, "I'm afraid your little brother isn't in this class. He's in Miss Hoyle's class, just along the corridor." "No," said Chingus. "My little brother is in this class. Look, he's here next to me." Everyone laughed except Mrs. Spendlove. Sorry, she said. "I mean, he belongs in Miss Hoyle's class." She was flapping her hands at the rest of us to be quiet, mortified because she thought we were laughing at him and it was her fault. But I was standing next to him and I could see that he hadn't made a mistake. He was digging in. "Julie, would you show Chingus's brother to Miss Hoyle's class?" "I certainly would. For one thing, I wanted my seat back." As soon as I stepped towards the little one though, the big one put his hand up right in my face and said, "No." "Excuse me? He must stay with me. I am bound to take care of him. Protect him, I must stay with him." Well, it doesn't really work like that, Chinggis. For one thing, once he's in Miss Hoyle's class, she'll protect him. And besides, he won't really need protecting because... But he wasn't even listening. He just got out his pencils and stuff and he settled down to do a bit of drawing. Mrs. Spenlow opened her laptop and poked around for a while. She said, talking to the little one directly, "You need to go to a different class. And she started trying to spell out this unbelievable name, syllable by syllable. But before she got to the third syllable, Chinggis looked up again and said, "No." Again. No, just like that. It was the second time he'd said no to her. Once might be a mistake. Twice was game on. Definitely. We were witnessing a struggle for power. Mrs. Spenlow made the first play. "Excuse me?" she said. "Call him Nurgle," he said, "it's easier." Which was definitely cheeking her face, telling Mrs. Spenlow what to do, telling her she wouldn't be up to the job of pronouncing someone's actual name. Mrs. Spenlow slapped that down. "Well, that's not what I've got here," she said, trying to spell the long name out again. Chinggis stood up. She looked him in the eye. He said, "Please." Please was good. Please was some kind of stand down. Please was definitely points to her. She closed the laptop really, really slowly. "Okay," she said, "just for today, you can stay in this class, Nurgle." Chinggis said thank you and sat back down. It looked like a victory to Mrs. Spenlow, except that somehow this kid had ended up with everything he wanted. His little brother was sitting next to him, being called by some unofficial name. Maybe Mrs. Spenlow sensed this. Maybe that's why she decided she had to push it. "So, if you'd take your hat off, Nurgle," she said, "we can all get started." The kid didn't move, and neither did Chinggis. They both just sat there with, "What are you going to do about it?" faces, pretending they didn't understand. She tried again. "I'm afraid you will have to take your hat off, Nurgle." "No," said Chinggis. Now everyone was looking at Mrs. Spenlow. "We can't have people wearing hats in class, Chinggis." Everyone looked at Chinggis. This was like watching some sort of high-tension tennis. "It will be dangerous to take off my brother's hat." How can it be dangerous to take off his hat? Is his head not securely fastened to his neck? She got a laugh for that. The laugh gave her some edge. "Not dangerous for him, dangerous for you." Mrs. Spenlow frowned. Was he threatening her? "If I take off his hat," he continued, "maybe he will go insane and kill everyone." He definitely was threatening her, threatening all of us, with his little brother. Chinggis. "When you need your eagle to be calm, what do you do?" "I don't know." She looked around the class. Did anyone know? Why would anyone know the answer to that? "Of course," he said, "you cover its eyes with a hood. When you want an eagle to fly and kill, you take off the hood. My brother is my eagle. With his hood on, he is calm enough. Without his hood, I don't know what he'll be like." Yes. Year 6. We had been at school for 6 years, and until that moment, I thought I had probably learned all I would ever need to learn. I knew how to work out the volume of a cube. I knew who had painted the sunflowers. I could tell you the history of St. Lucia. I knew about the lines of the Tudors and lines of symmetry and the importance of eating 5 portions of fruit a day. But in all that time, I had never had a single lesson in eagle calming. I had never even heard the subject mentioned. I had no idea that a person might need eagle calming skills. And in that moment, I felt my own ignorance spread suddenly out behind me like a pair of wings. And every single thing I didn't know was a feather on those wings. I could feel them tugging at the air, restless to be airborne. I wanted to talk to the new boy. I wanted to talk about eagles. But Mimi seemed to regard the whole Chinggis incident as a minor interruption in the ongoing global cosmetics conversation. Only the boys were interested. At lunchtime, dozens of them crowded around Chinggis and Nurgle, asking them if they really had eagles and how big they were and whether Chinggis was a liar or not. "Where'd you get eagles from then?" "Eagles are us." "Everyone has eagles where I come from." "Where's that then?" "Mongolia." They poked and they pestered little Nurgle, who still had his hat pulled right down, hiding his eyes. They kept telling him to make eagle noises. The kid, Nurgle, huddled down in his coat, pulled his arms out of the sleeves and crossed them over his chest. His sleeves were flapping loose and he did look fully like a bird. Then Chingus spotted me over their heads and shouted, You must come and help me. I didn't know what he expected me to do, but I was fully delighted to be asked. I slid past the boys and then I turned on them. All right, I said, move on. Haven't you seen a pair of Mongolian brothers before? No. Well, you have now, so move on. As if they're Mongolian anyway. It was shocking. Why would they come here from Mongolia? They're probably from Speak. Everyone agreed that the brothers were probably from Speak, and then they went back to their footy. Please stand still, said Chingus. He moved me back a bit and he pulled something out of his bag that looked like an old-fashioned radio. When he pressed a button, it made a whirring sound. The top half shot open and a lens popped out. I now know that it was a Polaroid camera. At the time, I thought it was some kind of mad, starey cuckoo clock. I need a picture, he said, so I can remember which one you are. You are going to be our good guide here, okay? Mimi had come over by this point. She could hear a camera being deployed at 500 metres. We both did our loveliest smiles. And that would be when Shocky and Duncan came over and tried to get into the picture. Almost as soon as Chingus clicked the button, a strip of paper rolled out at the front of the camera. He peeled off some kind of label and then he waved the paper around in the air. And there we all were, caught forever. He wrote something on the photo which I didn't see at the time. I saw it for the first time today. He'd written, our good guide. You will be our good guide, he said. In Mongolia, we are nomads. When we come to a new country, we need to find a good guide. You will be our good guide in this place, agree? Of course I agreed. No one had ever asked me to be anything before, and definitely not anything involving a title. And that was when I stopped thinking about makeup, lips and Shocky. That was when I started walking around the place thinking, hi, I'm the good guide. I really did want to be a good guide. So Year 6, I hope you enjoyed that first chapter. I love this book. It's really, really fun to read actually. So have a look back and have a read of that chapter yourself. Some of the things I want you to do is make predictions about what you think might happen in the stories and in the story and why. But the activity that I'd like you to do today, so I mean we all make predictions when we read anyway, which is great, but the activity I'd like you to do today is think a bit about the coats that the boys were wearing. So in your pack, you have got these 2 sheets full of the pictures of different coats that I found. Tried to find a real different selection, and I want you to look carefully at the coats. You can cut them out, you can stick them in your book, or you can just write around them if you want to. And these are the questions I'd like you to think about each coat. So what does someone's coat tell you about them? Who would wear each of these coats? Where did they get their coat from? Where would they wear it? Or when would they wear it? When and where would they wear it actually? How old is the person that would wear this coat? And then, just for a little bit of fun, you could even try and think of their name. So these are some of the questions. You might think of some of your own questions, but have a really good think. What does somebody's coat tell you about them? Good luck, Year 6.